This is Rob Tebbutt from Behind the Gloves. I'm here again with Frank Warren. How are you, Frank?
Very good, thanks, Rob. If I could get rid of this cough, I'd be better. I'm a bit of a curse, but other than that, I'm fine.
Oh, that's terrible to hear. I hope nothing too serious.
No, it's just like everybody's getting at the moment, this flu bug and everything, and it's hanging on.
So, how was Canada?
It was very cold. It didn't help my cough, but we had a fantastic result out there. It was well worth going out there. I thought Billy Joe Saunders put in the performance of the year for a British boxer, if not performance for the last few years of a British boxer.
What did you bring me back other than the WBO world title?
I think we brought back Bill's standing in world boxing. I think, the fight which was out, part of the game plan, was on HBO Live, prime time. Their commentators were raving over his performance, as were all the American boxing press out there. So we brought back a fighter whose stature has seriously improved in world boxing.
I just want to touch upon that because it was something that was mentioned during the press conference as well. For me, as a fan, the middleweight division has been dominated obviously by Canelo and Golovkin over the recent few years, and Billy has sort of, due to his inactivity and various things outside the ring, become somewhat of a forgotten man. How pleasing is it for you that he's had that announcing fight now? Like people in America, as you say, HBO, raving about his performance. How pleasing is that for you?
It's very pleasing for me, in as much that I've always known from day one that he's the quality of fighter he is. At times he's lost his direction. Some of that is, a couple of times maybe that could be self-inflicted. Most of the majority of the times because of the letdowns from fights such as Eubanks, who had a contract, didn't sign it, from Golovkin this year when we got the contract and he decided he wasn't going to fight and go straight for the Canelo fight instead. So that's been a bit of a killer for him, but out of bad comes good. If he'd have fought Golovkin, he wouldn't have been with Dominic. So sometimes things are meant to happen, and that now is a great team. They bonded well. It's taken Bill out of his environment. It moves him to Sheffield when he trains for fights. You can see difference in him physically and, more importantly, mentally, how up for it and how much he's now back in love with the game. So it was meant to be. So now he's got himself back in the mix. He's got one of the belts. If you want to unify the belts, you've got to fight Billy Joe Saunders. And now HBO will be looking for him to be in one of those fights.
Now, when I spoke to you last week, it's something that you've just touched upon. We spoke about the change in Bill's mental attitude. With him going into the ring, I mean, we knew that he was going to be improved. Did you expect him to be that much improved and make it look as easy as he did?
I thought he'd win the fight. I wouldn't have gone there if I didn't think he'd win the fight. If I thought it was a danger of him of us not coming back with the belt, or him not coming back with his belt, I wouldn't have gone to Canada. I just felt that his boxing, he's a much superior boxer. He's a much better boxer than people give him credit for. He's got a good chin, although it wasn't tested in that fight. I felt he'd probably win it by sort of 3-4 rounds, but it was a total shutout. He won it every single round. I don't know how Lemieux hurt his hand. He must have, that area he was punching must have been heavy.
I was going to come on to that later, but we might as well touch on it now. David Lemieux, somewhat less than gracious in his post-fight.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that. Look, he got beat by a much better man on the night in front of his home crowd. To me, Lemieux looked like a guy who was, he was like shadow. He was fighting Bill's shadow, and he wasn't even getting the better of Bill's shadow. That's how it was, and Bill done fantastic in the other guy's backyard, hostile environment. 99.9% of the fans were all cheering Lemieux. But Bill thrived on it. He got the best out of him. He was not fazed at all.
Now, something that was also mentioned in the press conference, as you know, as somebody who's been around the sport for a while, sometimes there can be some shenanigans in fight week when you have a visiting fighter. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened during the fight week? I heard there was some issues, or maybe Lemieux or the Canadians were not making things as easy with taxis and things like that, and getting Billy.
You get all that stuff. I mean, I like to think with us over here, when people come here, we make it easy for them, and we always do. I don't know what happened with them. Well, I do know there was a few little problems, but at the end of the day, that's there to upset you. That's why it's done. So what you do, you make your own arrangements. Go to a different hotel. If you really are concerned about, excuse me, being in the other guy's backyard. Excuse me, you're concerned about being in the other guy's backyard, then do something about it. It may cost you a bit of money, but you're investing in your future. But that had no effect. Even if it did have any effect, it probably spurred him on a bit more.
Do you think things like that shows a little bit of weakness, a little bit of worrying potentially?
They thought genuinely, you know, HBO, the Canadians, Golden Boy thought genuinely that Lemieux was going to knock him out. And it was like, we were all sitting in the front row, and as I was looking, it was the fight was going on. Their jaws were getting lower and lower until they hit their knees. All of them, they were all quite shocked. And unbeknownst to me, I was sitting next to Lemieux's manager, who's a nice guy, and he was quite, you know, he was like sort of fazed by it all.
Billy, by his own admission, not done things the right way throughout his career.
Yeah.
For me as a boxing fan, it's always been very, very frustrating watching Billy not waste his talent, but certainly not make the most of it. Now he has done that, and it sort of brought out the best of him facing an opponent like Lemieux. How important is it that his next fight isn't a soft touch and doesn't give him that opportunity to potentially take things easy?
Right. Well, it won't be a soft touch. It'll be somebody who's ranked, and it'll be somebody who's, you know, who's got a good record. But obviously our eye is on the big one, so I just want to keep him focused and keep him busy. But he'll have an opponent in there that's going to, you know, the worst thing I can do with Bill is say, here's an easy job, because he'll take his foot off the gas.
It's got to be challenging fights from here on in, right?
You can't afford to make any mistakes now.
Now, the situation with Canelo and Golovkin looks to be somewhat resolving itself soon. Can you give us any sort of update as to what you think?
I think they're going to make the fight. I'll be very surprised if they don't. So if they do make the fight, then hopefully they'll get the winner in September.
And Daniel Jacobs, who we've already touched upon in the press conference. Hate to bring this up. One of the things that happens when I get you after everyone else, Frank, you should see me first.
I know.
Daniel Jacobs, in the immediate aftermath of the fight, declared his interest in facing Billy Joe Saunders. When we spoke last week, this is something I touched upon with the apparent friction between yourself and Eddie Hearn, who of course promotes Daniel Jacobs. How easy is that fight to make?
Well, look, from our point of view, it's easy for us to make it because he's the champion. But what does Daniel Jacobs bring to the table? His last fight in New York, they didn't sell 2,000 tickets. So what's the point of doing that fight in New York? And if we did do it, we'd do it over here. But, excuse me, it'd have to be on our terms. Not on their terms. He would be a challenger. It would be a voluntary defence. Daniel Jacobs isn't my problem. He's Hearn's problem. All I care about is I'm in this business for Bill's benefit, to make things happen with Bill. The fight suits us and the terms suit us, we'll make it. Simple as that. That's how it is.
Billy Joe also, I'm very worried about you, Frank.
It's Canada. Oh, I got rid of this.
No problem. Billy also referenced Caleb Truax, who we obviously saw in the Copper Box dethrone James DeGale as a potential fight moving forward. Is there any possibility of him facing Truax in the spring? I understand that there is in fact a rematch clause with James DeGale.
I understand there's a rematch in there, so that'll get sorted so out. But again, it's something you consider. But for me, if I step back and look at it properly, I don't want Bill going up a weight and have to worry about him coming back down again. You know, I want him to focus on his weight division, because the big fight for him is the winner of Golovkin and Canelo. So I want him to keep on that weight.
If Canelo and Golovkin do face each other, as many people expect, who would you like out of that? Who presents the most interesting proposition for you as a promoter?
I think they're two different styles of fighters. I think Bill's got the capability to go in there and give them both problems. I would think if he fought Canelo, I don't think there'd be a lot in that. I think Bill will be very capable. And Golovkin, you know, he's a big puncher, he's a big banger, but as we've seen, if boxing was all about who punched the hardest, we wouldn't have to have judges. And Bill showed that last week in Canada. I think he may have frightened one of them off.
Did you speak to Eric Gomez at all after the fight?
Yeah, we spoke, and after he recovered from the loss, we spoke. And he's a good friend, Eric. You know, he's a good guy. But we've spoken, and we're looking at a couple of things.
Speaking of fighters who punch the hardest, Daniel Dubois returns on the Untouchables bill. It's February the 10th.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that card?
It's headed up by Zolandi Teti, who's fighting against the Argentinian Hernandez. So that's a good fight for him. You know, for me, Teti should be in the pound for pound list now. I mean, he's an outstanding fighter. I mean, that punch he threw in Belfast was just phenomenal. Having said that, he's based himself over here now, so he's going to be a regular over here. And the undercard, you say, is we've got Daniel on there, we've got Anthony Yarden, we've got a lot of our youngsters on there, and we'll be announcing the full card the very first week in the new year. So that everybody will know exactly who's on there.
Daniel Dubois was supposed to be fighting for the English title. He's now not.
That's correct. No, we're not doing that fight. They're asking for stupid money, and there's no way I'm going near that money at all.
Do you think that's because of Daniel's reputation?
No, they think they're looking at it as being a meal ticket. It's just not going to happen. It's not happening for their money. And I think, Nick Webb, I think it is, when he looks at his next pay packet, he wants to compare what we offer to what he's getting paid for his next fight.
And another thing that was mentioned in the press conference was Carl Frampton will be fighting Frampton-Donaire.
Correct.
Great fight.
Fantastic fight in Belfast on the 7th of April.
How easy was that fight to make? I mean, obviously Carl coming off the back of his last fight.
Yeah, we worked hard on it. We've done the deal, so it's a great fight for the Belfast fans. Great fight, hard fight, tough fight for Carl. He wanted it, and I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a cracker. We've done with the Lee Selby and Josh Warren fight. That's a done deal now. We're going to announce the date for Leeds again in the next week or so. But that's a done deal. We've done deal for Terry Flanagan to fight Maurice Hooker for the vacant title. That's done. That'll be in the UK. We're working on the date at the moment, and I'm working with Eric Gomez and Saddam Ali against Liam Smith. Liam's trying to win his title back, and again that will get sorted out. I think we may get it sorted out in the next week or so as well.
Busy 2018.
Going to be busy, and we've got a lot more to go. We've got all those youngsters coming through as well, so that's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, just finally, Billy Joe Saunders had himself a little, well, not so little travelling companion out in Canada, all 6'9", 10", or however big he is, of Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Now, Tyson Fury obviously has had his UCAD situation somewhat cleared up recently, still awaiting his BBBOC licence. Potential fighter to add to your roster there, Frank?
Well, I want to work with him. We had a good time out there together. He was training hard. I mean, he took his trainer there, so he's very serious. He's going out there. He lost 3.5 stone. He worked very hard. He's very serious. I want to do a deal, and hopefully we're going to get something sorted. I like Tyson. I spent a bit of time with him and got to know him a little bit better. And I think he's, I just want to see him back in the ring. He wants to get back in there. He's got the hard parts out of the way after 2 years, and now it's getting him back into swing.
How close are you, or rather, how confident are you of doing the deal with Tyson? I know there was some talk of you slipping a contract to him when he was at the bar. Did that happen?
No, we was having a bit of fun. How serious is it? I think it's really. Well, it's like these things. It's not just money. Money is obviously very important, but it's also what we bring something to the situation. And I've got my ideas how I'd like to see things move, and we're talking about it. And I just hope we can get things sorted out, because I really want to get him back in. I want to see him get back in the ring. He never lost his titles in the ring, and I want to see him regain those titles. And I think he's very capable of doing that.
What can you tell us about his trainer? Because the last time I saw his trainer in the corner was with Bill in a somewhat underwhelming performance against Artur Akabov. Is Ben Davison?
Ben was out there with him. He's training him, and they're working together. I don't know what's going to. I mean, I don't know what their what their arrangements are, but he's the guy who's out there who's training. But I don't know what's happening. That's obviously something that Tyson will determine.
Okay, well, Frank Warren, go home and get some rest. Frank.
I'm going to some bit of vinos, and that'll be me done. I'll try and get myself prepared for Christmas, so I can get into that wine.
Okay, well, Frank Warren, as always, it's a pleasure catching up with you.
And you, Rob.
Thanks very much for speaking to Behind the Gloves. Have a great Christmas.
And you.
Look forward to seeing you in 2018, if not before.
And a Merry Christmas to all Behind the Gloves viewers.
Thank you very much.